Before we start, we would like to thank Nasdaq, sponsor of this episode.
Nasdaq is the leading global exchange supporting companies from all over the world as they transition into the U.S. capital markets with leading IR services and unique access to both U.S. and global investors. Okay, hello.
Hello, Daphna.
We're speaking English today, right?
Yes, today the episode is in English.
Yeah. Okay, so we're investors and relations,
Right.
משקיעים בקשר.
Correct.
And yeah.
Let's start with a disclaimer, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so I read the disclaimer now. Before we get started, we wanted to remind you all that everything discussed in this episode is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors.
No, we're not.
And any actions you may take are entirely your own responsibility. Welcome, Ofer Yannay, founder and CEO of Nofar Energy and chairman and owner of Hapoel Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Am I correct so far?
I'm not the chairman, I'm an owner there.
Owner of Hapoel Tel Aviv basketball. So you've been building Nofar for over a decade. You've been a chairman and recently, about less than a year ago, retransitioned into the CEO seat, a transition which is quite rare, I have to say. At the same time, the company expanded significantly in the US, entered new businesses like data centers, not to mention almost tripled the valuation
in 1 year. Yeah.
In 1 year in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and now is preparing for potential listing in the US.
Okay, so maybe before we start and kick off, so as Rami said, first of all, we're happy to have you here, so thank you.
First, I must say that his Israeli accent makes me feel more comfortable.
No, Daphna is the native speaker, and I'm the Palestinian.
It means I'm going to be okay. I'm somewhere between the two.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine. So, do you want to start with an elevator pitch on Nofar?
Nofar. Well, Nofar is it's a baby, right? It's a company I started 10 years ago. Interesting moves in energy. It started as a renewable energy company. The idea for Nofar was when I was learning my MBA in Ben Gurion University. I read an article that discussed renewable energy, and the article said we'll reach grid parity in 30 years. Grid parity for our listeners is when the renewable energy cost is going to be levelized the same level like the traditional energy cost. I read the article and said, hey, they calculated it wrong. So I think there's a big opportunity in renewable. This is how I started Nofar.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Nofar started like, I want to start my company. I want to do things that are different. First 8 years, we did some interesting things in Israel. We put the kibbutzim in the game. They were out of the game. But I read in the regulation that there's some kind of a distribution company. Nobody knew how to handle it. I knew how to handle it. And from there, the kibbutzim started to participate in this game. 2015, I said, we have a lot of water reservoirs in Israel. Let's put PV over water, which is kind of counterintuitive, like electricity and water. But this is how it sounds now. Almost all of the water reservoirs in Israel are dotted with those PV plants. 2018, I said we have to put storage. Storage was extremely expensive, but I said the price will go down, but we'll need to use it because we are an electrical island. So this is something that is a must. So we entered really early to renewable. So I think if you want to describe Nofar, it was a company that saying, hey, there's something very big that is happening. Can we participate in the change and can we bring the change? So we did that in a very nice way, I think, in Israel. And then 2020 took the company public, started to participate in multiple markets. The valuation didn't really move for 5 years. And a year ago, I felt that we are missing out on something very big that is happening, which is AI. Maybe you want to have some words about this, what's going on and how it influences energy companies. Mm-hmm. So I said, we need to take some decisions here to change the ship in the right direction. And the only way to do it is, you said it's not trivial to go from a chairman to a CEO, because CEO is the one that has to deal with all the nagging, right? All the annoying stuff. But the thing that is even more annoying, if you're a CEO, you want to have, you can declare the strategy, but then you want to implement the strategy and then it's not implemented well or not in the right pace. So that was the reason to take in CEO position, and all the decisions that I took in the last year that did the real change in the company.
So now the focus is more on data centers and.
No, the focus is still on energy, but the energy game is wider than we perceived it. I think also that if you look on renewable energy started as something that is very small portion of the energy mix. So it can be something that is subsidized, and you don't need to do things like, okay, I'm going to produce that and that megawatt in that and that hour. You don't have to do the nominations. So it was kind of very, very small. With a lot of protections. You have feed-in tariff, you know how much you're going to get, you can produce whatever you want, and you know how much you're going to get. But as the share of renewable energy in the energy mix grew, then you had to start to treat it like all the energy, which means you have to do trading, you have to take responsibility of how much you're going to produce and when. And this is something that you have to take like a broader view of what is energy. So we decided, for example, 9 months ago that we will start our own trading platform. By the way, it's the first Israeli company to take this move. And the other public Israeli companies, they've been public like 10 years more than us. So it shows the how fast we reach the conclusion in a faster pace, I think, than the industry. And the second way to look at it is, can we get more value from energy? Because at the end, what we have a lot of local teams that know to do very well the zoning, the permitting, the negotiation on capacity on the grid, the personal relationship that are so important in every country. And if we can get more value by using this megawatt of capacity, not just to get it to energy, we did a similar move 3 years ago. Like, okay, not just to produce energy, maybe also to put storage. So now we have more value on the same grid capacity. But now if you can get more revenue and more value by applying some of the new industry of the AI, this is something that we must do. So that is probably the biggest thing that is happening right now in energy.
So you touched it in a way, but maybe if we take and actually your move, you as Ofer Yannay, okay, moving from the seat of the chairman to CEO. What did it change? What did you learn? What do you see in terms of, what did it change in your state of mind, I'd say?
My management style, when I was a CEO, I said, okay, I'm giving...
when you were chairman?
When I was chairman. I'm giving a long leash to the managers. They need to be independent, they need to decide. But whenever I want to check something, I can go in depth and I can check with the employees exactly what's going on, or with the managers that are lower level, not just to talk to the CEO. So this kind of style gives you a feeling of involvement and a feeling of kind of direct understanding what's happening in the company. But once you sit in the CEO position, of course, you absorb all the knowledge without filters. And then it can change the picture of what exactly do we have in the company. So the reason to move forward, at the beginning, what I said, I felt that we need to bring like a more experienced CEO. I was trying to bring Rami. I destroyed the family because I took Rami from Elide. He was a Soari guy for 10 years and I took him out. So I apologize, Itzik, for taking Rami from you. But then the institutional investor, they didn't approve him. And then I had like two choices, then spend like another 6 or 8 months to find another CEO. And the other choice was, I'll take it and I'll move forward and do what is necessary. And when you sit in the CEO chair, something really, really interesting happens, because then you say, okay, there's no one to blame, right? I am the founder, I'm the control shareholder, and I'm the CEO, which means if I want to do something, I can do it. And if there are going to be delays, it's my fault. And if there is a strategy that is not executed, it's my fault. So being able to get this like full responsibility, it was very natural for me to say, okay, I'll absorb the responsibility, and now we'll take the leadership and move this both forward. I think the biggest challenge was how do I create new management, right? Because when this situation happened, and it was a kind of a noisy process because the old management, they fired, they sold the shares. So the question was, how do you create new management and to bring the talent? And what you have in the process is you are bringing a lot of guys, and it's not just a question of how talented they are. I wanted guys that are talented and that are hungry, but also how well do they interact with each
So
other.
it's like building a new team.
Yeah,
and
you
making
have
sure-
someone that is more dominant, someone that is less dominant. And we had the situation with Nir that wanted to be more dominant. He felt that now is less dominant, so he resigned. But this is, I think, is extremely interesting process, because even now, what I do, if after we stabilize and we have a new management, I keep pushing for bringing in more talent, right? But when you bring the more talent, okay, so how do you divide now exactly what everybody is doing? So building the new team, I think, is extremely interesting challenge, but it's essential, because without a great team, you cannot execute, and everything is a team sport.
It's fascinating because you built Nofar.
Yeah,
and you were a chairman.
I also built the old management.
Yes.
Nofar is a private company.
Why didn't you choose to be a CEO from the get-go?
Well, then I wanted to come over. I said, can we be co-CEO? I said, you'll be the CEO, because CEO was like handling all the annoying stuff. I'll be the chairman. But we were kind of working together. And I also built the old management. And I think the old management was great for the Nofar, the private company that was operating in Israel. When you transform into a global company, you transform to a public company, the challenge is different. Now, you can accept this and get like some kind of conclusion. Maybe somebody else should replace me, or maybe I should evolve to meet the new challenge, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't do either, then at some point there's going to be a problem. And I felt that after a few years, stock price kind of fixed, and also feeling that things are not working in the way that I wanted them to work, that it's time to refresh the management.
And being an owner and chairman, how much were you involved in like the day-to-day? I mean, you had your CEOs, but were you involved in
at the first year of
managing?
Nofar as a public company, I was involved heavily, and after that 2 or 3 years, I said, I'm a chairman. They should run it, and it's kind of, you kind of also explain to yourself that it's the right way to operate, right? To give the management the way the leash, and they can and the authorities, and they can do and they need to do their job. So I kind of was phasing out of being involved in the day-to-day. But then you have more and more events that said, okay, we kind of missed out here. At some point I said, okay, I think we need a change. And I didn't plan that this change will end in me being CEO.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah.
Let's maybe move into more like to the IR angle.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we think about investors and meeting with investors, okay, and you mentioned talking about being a public company, and Nofar is now considering and looking into also listing in the US. When you meet with investors, okay, some CEOs are going to say, okay, I meet with investors because I need to meet with investors. But others see it as an asset, or, they try to gain things out of it, or they see them as their strategic partners in a way. How do you see it?
I think there are multiple layers for the relationship you have with the investors, also with the different personas in the investors. If you have the analysts, so the analyst, I feel comfortable with discussing analysts, because then it's just numbers, right? They have questions, you give their answer. What we did now in Nofar, we added more talent to the IR department. We brought in Naftali Gross from Giza, and I told him, I want you to build the best analytic department there is in the industry. I want you to have like two or three different analysts under you, and I want this department to support first their IR relationship, but also we have a lot of deals that we are considering. So I have a great intuition, right, for numbers and quantitative intuition, but it's also be very good if you get some help from like the analytic department. The second way to discuss. I think it's also about the trust, right? You need to create a trust because nobody likes surprises. And I'm aware that my style is not exactly a steady steady pace style, right? I'm kind of like changes. I like to make big moves. So if you do it and you don't have the relationship, it can be not very good for the trust of the investors. So I think it's very, very important to have this direct connection. Another layer, I think, is the fact that these are the guys that can give you feedback, but you need to take this feedback to some extent, right? Because okay, we like this, we don't like. That's great, guys, but you're institutional investors. I don't believe you know better what to do in my industry than me, or how to run the company better than me. And when I just started as CEO, as a temp CEO, I did all these moves because I wanted to create liquidity. We were short on liquidity in Nofar, so I said we need to create liquidity. Let's monetize multiple assets that we had. And I got calls from a lot of institutional investors that said, "Why do you do that? We don't understand this move." And the most important thing for me in those calls was, guys, it's all part of a big plan. And the big plan was, once we created the liquidity, we did the two big deals of Alumay and Pangate that really transformed the situation in the company. So you had to to get the liquidity before you can, you had to buy before you have to sell before you can buy, right? That's so I think keeping the trust is very, very important. So you get feedback, you get trust, but you also need to keep your own mind. And the last, I think the last angle, and this is something that I do with the senior, the chief investment officer in the institutional investors. They are partners. They can participate in a deal, and they can source a deal because they are, they have other deals. They can sell you an asset, and they can participate in buying an asset. So this, I think, for me is like the best environment to participate in. And this personal relationship is something that I invest heavily on, because at the end, this is like the highest level of trust, that they know you, they like you, and they value a lot the way you think and what you bring to the table, and they want to help you.
Yeah. So really, it's interesting, and we had that also in one of the other episodes with Navot Bar, about the fact that you're in a kind of industry, really, that those institutional Israeli investors, they could also be, again, they could be an arm you're doing business with, but then they can also be the ones buying your shares, for example, which is not every company has that type of dual relationship.
We are a growth company, and our way to grow is to invest heavily in capex. So it means we will always have demand for equity, for debt, and the source for that is the institutional investor.
Yeah, so definitely viewing the institutional investors as your partners, and rather some CEOs see them as as a nuisance, as something which is not.
Everything is a nuisance.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you are meeting investors, what are you trying to accomplish? Is that raise confidence, tell the story, maybe learn something from this?
So it depends on
dialogue.
It depends on the form. If you have like these meetings, like one-on-one meeting with the chief investment officer, then of course you get more feedback, a lot of gossip. What happened with that deal. So it's important. If you're meeting with the analyst and the one that need to decide if to buy the share or not, what I keep in mind when I'm running these meetings is that these guys, they have a lot of companies to cover, right? So it's a lot of stories. It's like a lot of voices. And if they meet me, I don't need to exhaust them with all the details. I need them to understand the most important things about how I think and what are the things that I want to execute. What is the idea for? So nowadays we are doing meetings with the investors. So I'm trying to explain that we are a growth company, but we are looking, we care a lot about cash flow. So we're going to have more and more assets that are yielding assets, and we are planning to do the growth in a way that the leverage would be manageable, so the risk will not become too big. And then we can go into different territories, different deals, but these are like the basic principles that are important for me.
the meetings are when you show up to a meeting with an institutional investor.
Yeah,
then
when I show up, it's usually like a room with 20 people.
20 people.
Yeah.
And is that running over the presentation or starting with the Q&A, or how does it work?
You put a presentation, but they hit you with a lot of questions during the presentation, and you need to remember all the numbers, all the answers. So I have it. So it's good. And again, you need to keep everybody focused on what are the most important things you want you want them to remember.
So that's going to be interesting also when you go and when you list in the States.
Yeah.
Assuming you do it, and I believe you'll do it if you're planning on doing it.
Yeah, we'll do it. I think that now the schedule has been pushed a bit. We was planning to finish with this by September, but probably by around November we'll finish with it. The TCOB takes a bit longer than we anticipated.
So what I'm trying to say is, like, when you meet with the Israeli investors, it's like, your home base and everything. But then when you go out to the States and you talked about the fact that they have, so over there they have, like, just in Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange, there's over about 6,000 companies traded.
Like that, yeah.
So also in terms of
So 10 times more than what we have in Israel, right?
And you're coming from a different country.
And I'm coming from a different place,
Right.
and it's a new
Place and time zone.
It's a new
Yeah.
arena.
No, but you're going to be listed there.
And I think we'll travel, right? We'll do it,
Yeah.
but I think we'll probably have someone that is dedicated to keep the relationship there. We started. I think we had like the first energy analyst meeting with a guy named JDS that is a very famous energy analyst that works for Jefferies, and we had the first call, which was interesting, and the one that was taking a big part is Alon Rover, the CEO of Nofar US.
Good. Okay. You want to ask something, or you want me to go on? Because you
I have
asked
a
many
question
questions.
to you.
You have go ahead.
I have a question about your relationship with the analysts that cover Nofar. So I believe that you are, whenever there's like a quarterly report, probably quarterly earnings, you probably speak with them following the conference call or something like that. And let's assume that they issued, I don't know if that happened in the past, a downgrade rating. So taking it down from, let's say, buy to hold and reducing the target price. What do you do then? You try to convince them otherwise, or you accepting that as, another event in the company's investors' exposure?
We didn't experience this yet, but usually when you have the calls with these guys, that kind of give
the sell side.
there are two kind of analysts.
Yeah.
The analyst that we usually talk to is from the institutional investor. They want, I want to know that, and they will give the recommendation in-house. If you're talking to a guy that gives the recommendation to the public,
the sell side analyst.
Yeah, the sell side analyst. So I can tell you a story that is kind of interesting. We had a conversation with one of these guys, and he said, okay, you get to the point that Nofar is supposed to be like 14 billion. And the Nofar was like 10 at that time. And then they postponed. They didn't publish it. And the problem they had is the political problem. Because if they're going to give like such a strong recommendation on Nofar, what are they going to do with the rest of the companies
in the space
that the evaluation already is high? So I understood the sensitivity. So it's kind of also a political discussion, right? So at the end, he put out, I think, some of the valuation he put us about something like 11 million, 11 billion, which was lower than the first call. So basically, I think you should keep the professional angle, and also understand that everybody has, everybody needs to carry their own weight in life. So,
additional interest besides the
you need to be
sheer
you need to be practical about it.
Yeah.
Capital allocation. You talked about Nofar because you also do debt raising, also capital raising, and all the. How much do you think the CEO, as a CEO, should devote to this specific activity?
I think this is one of the main roles of CEO. Then what is the role of CEO? Strategy and deciding, approving with the board, and executing. Bringing in talent like management, and putting everything in order, and then monitoring their work. And other than that, the capital allocation, I think, is the most important thing, because at the end, everything is a game, right? You have those risks. If it's debt, if it's equity, there's no risk. But then, where do I want to take equity? Do I want to take, if I want, let's say now that my valuation is far beyond what I think is the true value of the company. That's good. Now it's a good idea to take some to put some equity in the public company. But if the valuation of the company is lower, then if I'm taking now and I'm issuing a new IPO now, then it means I'm diluting the other shareholders, not in a fair way. One of the ways for me to look at it is always to keep what is my analytical perception, what is growth of the company, and at the end as CEO you also have some knowledge that is not knowledge that is known to the public. You have all these kind of processes that you didn't report it, so you also know what's going to happen in 3 or 4 months. So you can estimate what's the company economical valuation is going to be in 3 or 4 months, and then you need to take your decisions. I've taken a path that is different than the other companies, because I think that we should be as conservative as possible with regular equity. So in the last year that the company tripled in value, and the turnaround was amazing in terms of how much the company generated. EBITDA grew to 800 million every year from 200 million. I didn't went to the public to get new equity, and also not to get new bond. Put aside like 150 because we wanted like a new series that we want to change to the new series. So, and before that you can see like IPO, bond equity. So why in the last year that I did so much, I didn't, because it's not necessary. You can be more conservative, and then it means that you generating more value that will go to the regular equity. If you keep diluting, I think it's extremely problematic.
What's your take about buybacks or dividends?
I think it's a very good idea. There's a difference between buyback and dividend.
Right.
There are two differences. One, buyback is voluntary, so because you want to do a buyback, not everybody have to. Whoever wants to sell it to you. And the second is the tax. I think that buyback is a great tool. I would have done it already with Nofar, but you can do it once you're meeting a certain criteria that we're not there yet. So I think we'll be there in a few months or few quarters. By the way, can I give a recommendation on a book?
Yeah, sure.
Great. So one of the greatest book on for CEOs.
On a book,
book.
I was thinking about capital. Fine.
Outsiders. Outsider is a great book.
Outsider.
Yeah, about I think 8 different stories of CEOs that excelled, comparing to their colleagues, comparing to the benchmark, and all of them. I think one of the main, and the different industries and different situations, so different stories. But you know what is true to all of them? They cared a lot about capital allocation. Where do you put the next amount of capital?
Which CEO from those 8 was the one that you related to the most?
I liked and to read all the stories, but I really understood that the fact what you're doing in the capital allocation is the one that is really keeping the long-term interest, because market, there's a lot of noise in the market,
right.
But if you care about the long-term interest, so I kind of felt connected to it, because as a founder and as someone that wants to lead a company, you care about the strategic view, and you said, what do I want for the company in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, and you have this campus that guide you. So capital allocation is also a way to look at it, because we care about the long-term view of the stock.
How do you balance it?
Going back to investors meeting and the dialogue, and which is very interesting to us because we had so many in the past. So since you went public with Nofar, have investors ever changed your thinking, not because they pushed you or criticized you, but they asked you a question that made you rethink your strategy?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, one of the things that I always need to make sure is that what I'm doing is understandable by the majority of my investor, because I like to move fast and I see things in a different way than everybody. I think there was the deal that we tried at the very early days in 2021. We wanted to buy Megalim, which is a project that came from that is held by Noy Fund. And then there was a very vicious attack by Yoram Gabizon, a reporter in the market. He said they're trying to help Noy because they helped them before the IPO. He fabricated some kind of a story, and there was a very bad response. The funny thing about the market, let's say that, 2% decides to sell the share, right? So what does it mean? 98%, they don't care about the story. But what you will see in the market, you see a big drop. So, I'm in big trouble. So we decided to drop from this deal, and this is a decision that the reason for it was very clear. I said to myself, the market still doesn't know me. I'm 6 months a public company, and there is a big doubt that this guy created. So let's pull back. It was a 580 million shekel deal, and 6 months later there was a dividend of 300 million. So this was a very big mistake. But
when you look at acquisitions, and also I'm interested, you talked about the analyst team that you built now.
Yeah.
So are you also going to be using them, or will one of their responsibilities also be to calculate, like, for example, because you want to be accretive to investors, right, when you do acquisitions and stuff. So are you like sort of combining the, I'd say, M&A or biz dev with IR?
I think there's like different, there's like some kind of multiverse, right? Like multi-universes that you need to take into consideration when you're doing a deal.
Yep.
One, of course, is the institutional investors. How do they see things?
Yep.
And the second is called the deal itself, right? All of the different details in the deal, what's the model of the deal. And the third is the company covenants, how it will influence the covenants of the company, which influence the bond, the debt market, the ability to raise more debt, but also can have some implication to the rating of the company. So you need to have everything in mind,
and internally also.
And also internally. But the way, maybe let me describe two of the deals, and then the split would be clearer. One deal was the Pine Gate deal, and I called Alon Rave. I told him what we have now in the US, very small rooftop activity in California. It doesn't sit well with the current NOFR and the NOFR that I want to create. So it's a very small activity. It was relevant 5 years ago, but not today. So either you can bring a big deal to the table of utility assets that are mature or like ready to build or COD or almost COD or operational, or we will close the operation in the US. It is like very dramatic, but I believe that everybody operates very well when they understand they don't have a choice, right? So, and then I thought he will come back with some kind of an asset like $100 million, and then he came back with Pine Gate, which was like $600 million deal, including debt from Chapter 11. So the push was for me. He found in his team, of course, found the deal, and then we had to do the analysis of what's the cost and what's going to be the price, how much value are we creating. And we also were lucky because one of the assets, Foley, in the data room, it was stated that there was already tax equity and debt on that project. And when we went deeper, we understood that nobody took the tax equity and the debt, which means that we have another 130 million to extract from the deal that nobody knew of. So it was about deep work of everybody, all of the complications, the legal complication, financial, operational. We had like project manager running in those assets. One of the funniest moments was, I said, one of the assets doesn't perform well. The name is Gunsight. Why doesn't it perform well? Because it's near a gun site, and they are shooting, and of course the bullets destroy the PV panels. And I asked Alon, so what did they do? I said, well, they went into litigation. So how much is going to be the cost of litigation? I said $2-3 million, and it's going to take 4 years. I approached this guy and asked him, will he be willing to sell us the gun site?
That's really interesting.
And we bought the gun site, right? So if you want to shoot some
Probably not.
And we bought it for 800,000. So, and we approved the results immediately, 22%. We sent the technician, we fixed everything. So everybody needs to participate. As a CEO, you need to give the strategy and then to make sure that everything is happening in the right way. So
you said you had 2 examples.
Yeah, so this is one example. The second example is that we are now looking for M&A in Europe. Let me tell you how I decided that we will look for a deal in Europe. I have one of the guys that is working for me need to say something. What? Come on. I said, well, I think we need to sell the projects in Poland. I said, why? I look on the curve and the price is going down 80% every year. 5 years from now, it's going to be free. So let's sell it now and that's it. So, okay, thank you. And then when he left, I said, hey, the project in Poland, first, are not that big. And we also have CFD on one of them, which means we have the price covered for the next 15 years. But what was interesting in this conversation was how pessimistic he was. And I know 2 things. First, I know about myself that I have a very independent way of thinking. But I also understood that there's a good probability that his way of thinking is how everybody, or like the majority of the industry, thinks. So when Elad Reichman joined as CEO of Europe, so one of your biggest tasks now is to find, it will not be chapter 11, but it will be someone that is pessimistic enough to sell an asset under the value, under the capex. So this is something we invest a lot in, and I hope we'll be successful in that.
So that's generally speaking about M&A opportunities. How do you, I mean, good example that you just told us, but on a more, I would say, consistent basis, how do you track opportunities? Do you have your own internal teams that develop?
Yeah, you have your foot. You need to have your foot on the ground, but then what you usually have is not just the local teams. It's this network of lawyers and investment bankers that they have their own knowledge of the market, and they are usually a very good.
That's the source. That's the main source, or is it more like internal team that all they do is biz dev and M&A?
It can be both. It can be both. We don't like to compete in tenders, like in competitive processes, because then you usually fail and the price is usually exaggerated. But if you have the relationship, and then there is some kind of opportunity, and the investment banker knows you and likes you, say, hey, you can have a bilateral discussion with this guy because they need to close the business. You can buy it for a very, very good price. So it's important to maintain this relationship. We have 3 CEOs now. We have CEO for Israel, Nadav Barkan. We have CEO for US, Alon Rave. He's like he's the veteran of the
Shikun Binui?
Yeah, Shikun. He was doing everything. Did a lot of has a lot of experience. And we have Elad Reichman that is doing it in Europe. So the CEOs, they are the one that maintaining those relationship, that actually bring you the sourcing of the deals, and you get better.
You get better.
Yeah, process by process, you get better.
Just another question regarding you talked earlier about equity dilution because of IPOs and also the maybe the leverage. The leverage issue, is that an issue when you talk with the institutional investors about leverage? Is there like a cap how much leverage you can assume?
Yeah, if you go to the rating agencies, leverage is, and then there's also the perception as a CEO, leverage is like Icarus. You remember Icarus? So when his father, he told him, be aware from 2 things. You remember 2 things. Everybody remember, don't fly too high to the sun, too close to the sun, because then it will melt your wings. But he also told him, don't fly too low, because then the water from the waves they will create your wings will become heavy and you will fall. So leverage is about this. If you want to leverage because it's more efficient, the cost of capital for leverage for debt for Nofar now is less than 5%. Preferred equity is 8.5%, and regular equity is supposed to be higher. So you want to use leverage, but you don't want to over leverage. Rating agencies, they have their own models, agenda, but if I'm pushing it and we want to be in the A group, if I'm pushing it, we need to be between 80 and 70. That's the to cap ratio that we need to maintain. And since we keep investing, we need to bring in more equity, how do you bring in more equity? There are a few ways to create equities. One is, of course, just go to the market, bring equity. The second is the preferred equity. By the way, till today, there's no preferred equity in Israel. We are the first one to push it, and the stock exchange issued a memorandum in 2017.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we want to move forward with that. Everybody said, yeah, that's a great idea, great idea. Do you have any comments? No. And still, like 6 months later, we can't get the approval for public preferred equity. So we are simply doing private deals with institutional investors for the preferred equity. There's another way of getting equity that people are not really familiar with. It's more common in real estate companies that you are doing evaluation of the assets, and then if there was an appreciation, it's considered to be an equity. In energy, you can do it when you gain control or you lose control, or when you buy the asset, and if you buy the asset at a very low price, and you put it as I don't know how to say it in English, but you can use צירוף נכסים or צירוף עסקים. So you help me.
Asset tzarufation, maybe, no?
No, sort of like it's allocating. I don't know. It's probably combining assets together in a way. Maybe.
Okay, so that's very good. That even you don't know how to do it. That's a problem when using Egypt because you have all
the
these kind of...
The Palestinians don't know, man, that's okay, but you...
if the native tongue doesn't know, it's okay. So if you do it in צירוף נכסים, then you just do a PPA to allocate of what you paid, how much is going to every asset. But if you do it in צירוף עסקים, then they also care about what's the real price. And if the real price should be higher, then you're supposed to get the difference to your equity. So in Pinegate, we had a great opportunity to do it, but we couldn't do it. Why we couldn't do it? Because there was no financial reports because of Chapter 11. And the authorities told us if you'll do that, until there's going to be a perform of the financial report, we will not let you issue bond so okay, we'll skip it. But this is another great way to get debt, to get equity. So if we have this good access to the market and we have the trust of the institutional investors, so we can say, okay, we can think big, we can think of investing a lot. So this is very, 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 very important, and it's important to make sure that you keep you gain the trust. What we did in with the two deals in the M&A was at the end of 2025. The first deal was Alumay, buying Alumay, a public company, and like it surprised everybody because of multiple. I remember calling Barak Bensky because I had to let him know about the deal because we were negotiating of the Klal investment in Far Israel, and I said, "Hey, Barak, how are you doing? Just want to inform you because I have to inform you going to the agreement that we just acquired the control of Alumay." And he was shocked. He said, "What?" I said, "No, there were like in this room like 6 guys in the last 18 months that everybody was sure that they're buying Alumay." And I had no idea you wanted to say yes, And
so it's interesting also because many times when we talked about it in 2 episodes, one was with Sophie Schulman and one with Daphna Gruber, about when we talked about how leaks of information. So it's interesting. It's also like 2 Israeli companies involved and no leak. Rami, we like to always do new stuff and bring new ideas. And
Innovation,
an innovative podcast we have. So for the first time in משקיעים בקשר, we're actually splitting into 2 episodes with the same guest.
Okay.
Which means that this is the
end of the first part.
Right, with Ofer Yannay, the CEO of Nofar Energy.
Okay, and will we have a second part?
Obviously.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nasdaq, for supporting Investors and Relations, משקיעים בקשר.